Yeah, when I think of change management being that it's not like a daily function that I'm helping, say, my clients solve, I think of like two things. One, as you mentioned, like a big internal project that a company is trying to roll out, and how there's so many factors that go into it, and change for everybody is hard. And then there's also the constant evolution that businesses are going through, that employees are going through, that as we talked about, that employer employee and business kind of divide and disconnect. Like, do you look at it on both sides, or has it more been the big project, and how do we really make sure we look at all the aspects? I know the other is kind of like, as HR people, that has to be in our purview, but has it been more the big projects, and how do we effectively manage the rollout?
So I think you're talking about a few different things there.
Sure.
There's different categories of stuff that we end up looking at if you're talking about change. Of course, you always have these big IT implementation projects. Those are something that's always going to happen just because of the world we live in and how things are, people are, and companies are evolving. Other changes, I mean, it could be as simple as one company acquiring another, right? So you're acquiring a company, and M&A needs change management because we need to figure out what the organizational culture is going to be on the other end, and how are we going to get people acculturated into what, and does that come together? Does it get absorbed, et cetera, et cetera? So there's that case. And then what you have is like the new world of work change. And that's the one where it's kind of the hardest thing to manage because, and this is where a lot of people are struggling. And a lot of people are struggling because, number one, we hold on to what we know. And we know things from our own frame. So two people who grew up on the same street could have had the same life experiences, but view things in a very different way. Because maybe one household, their parents were from maybe Japan, and another household, their parents from Italy. And you have these two different frames of reference, how you see the world, because you absorb your cultural background. And then even though these two maybe kids who grew up on, side by side on the street, they would have this experience, but they would also have their family's culture that they have to identify with, and they navigate the world from. Both are really valuable, both provide different points of view, and both really need to be considered. Now, if I think about culture, hybrid working, and kind of getting back to kind of managing this change and managing kind of the new world of hybrid, why people are struggling is because they have this experience, they have this frame. Well, this is the way it's done, and this is the way we do it. So actually, an executive said to me the other day, well, when I was growing up, everyone went to the office. I don't really understand what's changed. You went to the office, you bonded with your coworkers, blah, 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 like just very much stuck in this is the way of working. Right. And this is the way of working from 2015 or before that. And really, if you look at it from a systems lens, the systems that we're working in were built years ago. The systems that we operate in offices were built for a different age and a different time. And they haven't really evolved to meet the needs of workers now. Over the past 3 years, we've been through this crazy experiment, for lack of anything else to call it, of how do we figure out how to work from home, or how do we figure out how to work remotely? Well, now people are trying to navigate this kind of hybrid thing where they don't really provide good systems where people can work in those systems and be comfortable. And that's where you're getting a lot of challenges, because leadership has intentions around things, and they want performance, and they want people to be engaged. But employees also have a different contract that they're not willing to give up, because originally, I think we were talking about, the social contract was the employer pays the employee comes and punches a card, does 8 hours of work, punches a card, and goes home. That was your social contract. Right. And all of a sudden, in the 90s and kind of more in the 2000s, that social contract really changed. And we're getting the big campuses like Google and Facebook and whatever. And all of a sudden, work became this different thing where people wanted to stay there at all hours of the day and play ping pong and do all sorts of cool stuff. And then now we've got a new shift of pandemic and people want to work from home and have a little bit more flexibility and stuff. And really, all of this is about managing change in your organization and being able to meet people where they are.